Yo, what is happening today, lads? We have a very interesting video today that covers quite a few topics. The main one being, obviously, Modern Warfare 2 Remastered has released on PC, and over the last couple of weeks, dozens of people have found heaps of data mined related code files and stuff related to multiplayer, so we're going to be showing that all in the video and covering all of that. We're also going to be talking about the COD 2020 effects on the MW2 Remastered Multiplayer effect and the effect of COVID-19. I'd like to give a quick shout out to the MW2 Ghost Discord server. They helped me a lot get all these data mined images, so I'm going to have that Discord and my Discord in the description of this video, so make sure to go join both of those Discords, and also go follow my Twitch, where I'll be live streaming all the live reactions to all the Call of Duty and PlayStation 5 announcements, which will be coming out this week and next week. With the PlayStation 5 around the corner, that's where they'll be announcing a lot of the Call of Duty stuff as well, so make sure to go drop a follow on there. I'll also put that in the description of this video. I appreciate it if you drop a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Today we are joined by a good friend of mine, the Gaming Revolution.
That's one less loose end.
He's going to be talking about a lot of information that he has heard from his source, and regarding the stuff in the files and more stuff to do with Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer. There's actually been over 100 data mined files that have reference to the multiplayer. I'm going to have a link in the description as well to have all those in a collection so you can go individually look at them, but I'm going to be showing them throughout the video as we talk about them and what they can mean.
So as you guys will have seen recently, there's been a bunch of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered multiplayer stuff found within the files of the game. Obviously, a lot of that stuff is probably left over from the original Modern Warfare Remaster, as well as the original Modern Warfare 2 game. However, there is a lot of stuff unique, such as diamond camo, dark matter camo, and a bunch of other stuff. I think there's even reference to supply drops because it references crates opening, and also, there is a separate Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer.exe file, so we know for 100% certainty that a Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer has been worked on at some point in time.
So yeah, a lot of them are obviously reused placeholder assets for MW, even Advanced Warfare, as there's mention of exo zombies. But this specific file that I'm showing on screen, the multiplayer EX, was found within the single player EX, which is actually a different type of file and was found using a specific program. And this is actually confirmation of in-game files of the multiplayer itself.
So yeah, obviously my sources have said that Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered has pretty much been finished for quite some time. However, Charlie Intel said in a recent Q&A session in the COD OG Discord that according to their sources, they have heard that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer is not near ready. However, my sources are very strict on saying that yes, it is pretty much finished, as in the maps are pretty much done and all of the systems are in place, but I think that the balancing and a lot of the systems, such as the microtransaction system within the game, is not ready for release because it used to have a supply drop system similar to the original Modern Warfare Remastered, but they probably want to change it to a battle pass system or something that is more up to date with Modern Warfare and current times, because Call of Duty will not be having supply drops moving forward.
Now, you've also heard from one of your sources specific details about, for example, the 30 gun streak nuke, a change coming to the multiplayer, changes to specialist, and also camos. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
So yeah, you may have seen this guy floating around on Discord. He's in my Discord server and various other Discords, and he has been sharing this information pretty publicly. A lot of people are skeptical about this person in particular. However, I will say that he has provided me very specific pieces of information over the last 8 months or so. He did provide me with the gunfight alpha date and a bunch of other stuff recently, and I do know that this guy does get correct information. According to my source, some of the changes that they have made to Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer is apparently they've changed the nuke so that it is gun kills only, and apparently they've changed commandos so that it just speeds up your knife speed, has no fall damage, and there is no more lunge, and apparently they started working on a specialist perk system for the game as well, similar to what we saw within Modern Warfare 3 and also Modern Warfare 2019, the reboot. However, it was not implemented within the game and just began to get developed, and my source believes that that possibly they were testing the specialist system in Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered before implementing it within Modern Warfare 2019. Apparently they were also toying around with grenade launchers, taking away the perk 2 slot like they did with the perk 1 slot in the original Modern Warfare. So all these changes seem very reasonable, but what it seems like they were doing is that with all these nerfs and changes to the game, it seems like they were making Modern Warfare 2 Remastered more like Modern Warfare 2019, which makes sense when in terms of Activision's statement in which they said that they don't want to release Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered because they think that it will split up the player base with those playing Modern Warfare 2019, the reboot. So if they are balancing and changing the game a ton, because obviously the original Modern Warfare 2 was very broken, there was a lot of balancing issues, but that is what made it a spectacle for a lot of people. Obviously, in the current gaming state, Modern Warfare 2's multiplayer just wouldn't hold up in comparison to modern day games. New gamers and stuff like that just wouldn't be a fan of all of the different balancing issues with the game. The OG players I'm sure would love it, but I think that new Call of Duty players would hate it. So they've changed the game a ton to make it apparently a lot more like Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, which makes sense with my previous statement from my source in which said that they don't want to release Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer because they think that the community won't like these changes, and then it makes sense because Activision said they don't want to split up the player base, and if they've changed the game a lot to make it more like Modern Warfare 2019, then what is the point in releasing it if we already have that game? It wouldn't make sense for them to release Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer if they already have Modern Warfare 2019 that is obviously selling really well in terms of microtransactions. They're literally making billions from microtransactions, and by the time that Modern Warfare 2 Multiplayer Remastered may eventually come out, it could be a year or two from now in 2021 for example, and Modern Warfare 2 Campaign Remastered already had a bit of a graphical disadvantage in comparison to modern day games, and the longer that Activision wait to release it, the greater that graphical difference is going to become. So obviously with them releasing a remastered game, they don't want it to have a big graphical disadvantage, because then what's even the point of it being a remaster if it's not reaching its full potential? So yeah, I do think there is a chance for it to come out at some point in time, but I really don't think it's being worked on at all right now. Obviously one of my other sources had recently seen it apparently being tested on, you know, over a month ago now, but according to this source that provided me with this information, they said that it hasn't been touched on at all recently.
Which makes sense because it's been worked on since like 2016. We know that a lot of it is probably already done, and there's so much of that proof within the files, but it's almost a case now with the situation, maybe in a different universe where COVID-19 didn't happen and Warzone wasn't such a huge success along with Modern Warfare, it just doesn't make much sense for them to release it right now. And then for them to release it in the future with COD 2020 around the corner, it doesn't really make much sense then because it will affect the sales of that game. So I think Matt's correct here by saying that in the future, maybe a year in like 2021 or something like that, that's probably when we will see the release of it, because I don't think having all this work done, they'd scrap it. But then we also face the issue, as Matt said, with the graphics change and how that won't really be scaled to what we'll be used to on the next gen consoles. For sure that they might scale it up and do big changes to the game, as a lot of the hard work I feel is already done. But yeah, just with COVID-19 and the success of Warzone, has put Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer in a little bit of an awkward spot, and Activision, business-wise, is probably not a good move for them to release it anytime soon, but I do think it's definitely coming in the future.
So yeah, I guess the release is just really up in the air. It might come, it might not come. I guess you can let us know down in the comment section down below what you think. Do you think it is going to release eventually? If so, when? Or do you think it's just completely on the back burner and is probably never going to come out? Because Activision see, obviously, everyone spamming hashtag Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer on Twitter, but they don't care. Honestly, they just don't. They're more interested in what their investors are saying and what's going to be best for their shareholders. That's all they care about. And as Charlie Intel was saying, apparently they were very stressed with trying to update Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare Remastered, so I guess they don't want to go through that again. Apparently that was just a big disaster for them behind the scenes.
Which makes a lot of sense, because trying to juggle 2 different seasons of content for 2 different Call of Duty games on the same year is just a handful, honestly, and I never thought it was a good idea in the first place. And if anything, I feel like the release of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered Multiplayer is most likely going to be halfway through the next year of COD, just like they did with this campaign, just so it keeps the player base like with fresh content instead of mixing it up with 2 different seasons. That's going to be all for the video today, lads. I know today's video wasn't 100% necessarily good news, but I feel like it just makes it confirmation of the multiplayer existing and where it's up to Activision now where they think it's going to fit business wise, especially because Warzone has been so successful and the battle royale genre is still going strong within the gaming community. Make sure to check out all those data mined files within the description just in case you don't believe it even further, and I'll make sure to make any videos if any changes come up regarding the multiplayer. And yeah, appreciate everyone watching. Later.